feel free to add questions and that kind of thing as well.
Hi, everyone. This is Jamie Broderick from Network Now and White Glove Publicity. Today I'm being joined by Holly Chantal, who is a branding, we hate the word expert, right? But branding strategist we'll go with.
Yeah, that's a good one.
She also is the one who has done the website for networknowconnections.com. She's very multi-talented. How are you today, Holly?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah.
All right.
Pretty busy this month. It's like insane that November is Sunday. I can't believe it.
I know. I know. I'm going to be gone for 3 weeks in November. Like three of the 4 weeks in November, I'm pretty much gone. It's crazy.
Wow. All right. Merry Christmas then. All right. So let's get rolling. Today we're talking about unique branding and market positioning. So I want to just start actually with your definition of branding, and then I've kind of rearranged your bullet points a little.
Sure.
So tell me your definition of branding.
Sure. So a lot of people think when they think of branding, they're thinking of the colors, the logo, and all of the visual pieces that you can physically see when it comes to a brand. But the way we look at branding is really kind of the bigger picture of the entire business and what is the message that's underlying everything you're putting out there as a business owner. So the branding foundation is ultimately, who are you and why should I be hiring you? So that's the foundation, and we build a lot of this based on what are your strengths, what is your viewpoint, what are you bringing to the table that other people in your industry might not necessarily be doing, and how do we craft that into a message that, one, is really easy to understand, two, demonstrates how unique you are, and three, really shows the value in hiring you instead of someone else that might have a very similar but different methodology because they don't necessarily have the same set of experiences, skill sets, and talents that you do.
Okay.
So
wouldn't you say your brand is your customer's perspective, the experience that they have? Yeah,
it definitely is like just kind of the overall perception of your brand, like if they or of your business. So if someone's talking about you, what are they saying? And also in your marketing, like what are you saying to attract people? Like all these things that are people are interacting with, those are your brand.
Okay, I'm going to tweet that out. Okay, so why don't you tell us the biggest mistakes made with branding?
Sure. So one of those mistakes is thinking that branding stops with a company name, a tagline, and a logo. I have a lot of people come to us and they're like, oh, we already have a brand. We had a logo made. I have my domain. We're good. And then they just want the website, and I'm like, it's not quite there yet. So if you're stopping with the logo and the domain name, that could be used as a piece of your brand. But actually, the way we work, those things come after we've created what the brand is. So creating those messaging pieces and the positioning and that kind of thing. And then the domain name, the logo, the tagline, all those are almost like an expression of the brand itself. The second mistake is thinking that your brand is a one and done thing. If you look at any company that's been out there for any amount of time, you'll notice that their brand goes through changes. It goes through evolutions as they grow, as the industry changes, as they're keeping up with, what's going on in the world. And your brand needs to do that too. Your brand needs to grow, change. People you're attracting right now, you might want to attract completely different people 2 years from now. Mm-hmm. And you need to understand how to make that shift without losing all of the work that you've already done to build your current brand.
I can see
so it doesn't necessarily mean you're completely changing your brand, but you want to make sure that your brand is mobile with you.
I can see that it's not a static thing because everything you communicate needs to be in line with your brand, all your messaging, so that you should be constantly communicating with your audience. So it needs all to be on brand. Your
Exactly. Yeah.
your video,
Everything needs to be on brand.
videos, photos, text, everything needs to tie together.
Hmm.
Yeah. All right.
And
So
it's
tell us
easy to forget.
any other mistakes you got for us?
Oh. So what did one and done, the stopping with the logo. Trying to be really clever with your brand is definitely a common mistake, especially when you're trying to do your brand yourself. You don't really know what you don't know, basically. So what we see are taglines that rhyme or things that seem clever, where it's like, oh, why didn't I think of that? So that's what we try to mimic. And without being the brand, like a branding expert or working with a branding expert, you might not know the strategies behind why that tagline is that tagline, or like what you're seeing, you're not really seeing the strategy behind it. So just creating something clever, like, sounds really cool, or it rhymes, that sounds really cool, but unless it has a strategy behind it, like, you could be creating something that sounds really clever, but no one still understands what it is. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Right. Everyone has to keep in mind the customer perspective.
Right.
Also.
Yeah, it has to be like, they have to understand what your brand is from the get-go.
Okay, so tell us about the land. There's a cat like running in and out of my window. I don't know what is happening right now. I open the window because it's hot in here, and the cat is leaping in and out. It's funny.
She's just enjoying it before the winter comes.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like 70 degrees in Pennsylvania today.
Oh, yeah, here, I'm going to open the windows as soon as we're done here. I just don't want the outside noise.
All right, so Land of Brand is like a game-based branding strategy training that you've developed. Tell us about that. How does it work? How do you get your clients through that to brand them?
So that's the Land of Brand is not actually a game. The Land of Brand is our company. There's a product that's a game. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, the actual.
There's two very different things.
Well, your visual is all about. It's like, looks like a game where it looks like Candyland, where you go from module to module along a path, and it's all bright and colorful. And
yeah. So the Land of Brand is my branding company, and in our branding we have this map of the Land of Brand, and it is based on Candyland.
Right. Well, this is
I basically
my perspective. So my perspective.
Right. I was looking at I was looking at the journey that you go on when you're building a brand, and I kind of mapped it out to a game board. And so the branding game, which is one of our home study products now, is basically you kind of take yourself on the journey through the Land of Brand. So that's what the Land of Brand is basically, is the company, and it's the journey that you're taking.
Okay, so give me examples of the different modules. What happens first versus last?
Yeah, I can share. I don't want to get too into the branding game because that's like just a product. I'd rather and it's also
it's
a lot of
process of what should happen.
I can give you like what our branding process looks like. Would that help?
Sure.
Is that what you're looking for? Okay. So we have basically a 3-step system, and you guys can all write this down because a lot of it's stuff that you can start thinking about on your own without working with someone in branding. The first one is your personality. As I said, one of the foundational pieces that we begin with is understanding who you are and what you are bringing to the table. And a big piece of that is your point of view in the world, how people relate to you, your story, whether or not you're likable, or if you're like really grumpy. And some people like really grumpy. So just kind of understanding how you show up as a person. And this is really definitely geared more towards solopreneurs, service professionals, because you are the one people are hiring.
Right.
So we always start with that.
I'm just laughing because when you say some people like grumpy, it's like reminds me of Gary Vaynerchuk's brand.
Yeah, he's always a good example.
At the camera, just pissed off at everyone's mistakes.
Right, and he's fun to watch. Or another example, there's a restaurant you can go to. I forget what it's called, but it's like a chain, and they're basically rude to you the entire time, and people love it. It's like it's funny. And then, you have the people that have like the snarky personalities that other people with snarky personalities really relate to. So it's not always, being grumpy for entertainment purposes, but some people, a lot of people will relate to your viewpoint because obviously your viewpoint is not completely unique. There's others out there that are on the same page as you. So when you start putting your personality out there, whether that be, whether that you are really shy or you're really extroverted or playful or whoever you are, you're going to attract people that relate to that. That are like, oh, she's just like me, and that's sometimes one of the biggest objections people have to hiring someone is, do they really understand me? And just because they can do it or the clients they've worked with can do it doesn't necessarily mean I can do it. So the more you're putting yourself out there, you're demonstrating that you understand the people that would fit really well in your tribe, and you're going to attract them to you. The second step of your branding is your position. So understanding where you are in the marketplace and where you want to be in the marketplace, because oftentimes where you are is different than where you want to grow your brand. I find this a lot, especially with startups. You start taking the clients that are coming to you and doing the things they're asking for, but that's not necessarily why you got into business. You might have a bigger vision. You might have a goal in mind of who you want to be working with, what you want to be doing with them, and your position, you need to start shifting it. So your position is made up of three different things. Your target market, so who it is that you want to attract. And I'm not talking about like just a demographic of, I want women 30 to 40 that, are just recently divorced. Like that's a demographic and that's a piece of your target audience. But what you really want to get down to is, what type of person is really ideal to you? Mm-hmm. Like what are they going through right now that you could really help? Like you relate to them either because you've been through this experience yourself. I find this a lot with coaches. They have been through a really powerful experience and they want to help other people kind of get through that same experience. Mm-hmm. Or you've seen or witnessed someone that has gone through that experience and you can kind of use their language. That's what's the most important thing when you're talking to your target audience, is using the language they understand versus your language, which might be a little higher level because you've done all the training and you have all these big words that, us normal people don't really understand. So the second part of your position is what it is you're doing for them. So that's your niche. And this is the type of services and the type of work that you want to do. So target market and niche kind of go hand in hand. And then the third one is this is really the most important part of positioning, and that is, why should they hire you? And there's a lot that goes into why they should hire you that a lot of people don't think of. For example, if I ask someone, why they should hire you, it might be because I have the most experience. Or, I've been there, I've done that, I've been in the trenches, I can really relate to them, I can give them advice from the standpoint of someone that's been there. What I think is more important is people really want to hire you if they resonate with you. So they want to know why you got in business. What are you really passionate about? Why were you put on this planet? What was the change you were on a mission to make? When they resonate with that, they start to see you in a different light. They start to relate to you versus, there's many other people that could probably have similar experience or have the tools that's going to get them there. But if they really resonate with why you're doing it, they're going to like you that much more. Yeah. The other piece is why you do it the way you do. What?
Authenticity. Raw
authenticity. And real. Yeah, really. I mean, like, we are all called to do something, and that's why we started our business, because there's a calling there. And then the other piece is why you do things the way you do. A lot of times we have these methodologies or we have these processes that we use, but we don't spend a lot of time explaining why. And we kind of just expect people to accept that at face value. And if I'm promising you the moon and I'm telling you, three calls over a 3-month period are going to get you there, I want to know why. Like, why
Mm-hmm.
3 calls? Why over 3 months? Like, why do you do it that way?
Mm-hmm.
And that really will help you help your target audience understand the process and enroll them in what you're going to be doing with them. And when it makes sense, then you're going to be the one that they hire because you're the one really taking away all that mystery of what it is what it is they're actually going to be doing when you work with them. It's really tangible. Let me just recap real quick. So the two pieces of branding that we just looked at were personality and positioning, and then the third one is packaging. And packaging has 2 pieces. One, the way you are delivering your services. So making sure that all of your programs are in alignment with the brand. We were talking about being on brand. Well, a lot of times, you get this idea, you want to create this product, and unless you can tie it back to the brand, you're really just being confusing. Like people will not really understand what it is you actually do because you have this other thing that doesn't really fit. So that's one piece is how you're packaging your knowledge and the programs. And then the other piece is obviously the packaging, as in your logo, your colors, your website. That's why I said those come later, because you want to get the personality and the positioning and the message all in alignment so that everything else that people are actually interacting with are a reflection or an expression of that brand that you've created.
And then pricing comes after that, would you say, or was that part of the packaging?
Well, pricing does have to do with branding to a point. Like how you price yourself can create a certain perception. I wouldn't say that it's actually like a step. It's kind of more like you said, like part of the packaging when you're putting
And positioning.
your programs together. Yeah, it's kind of like, so when I look at pricing, I'm looking more at someone's sales strategy. So like what we're talking about now is more like laying the foundation and creating the strategy and implementing, and then like marketing strategy is separate and sales strategy is another piece. It's kind of like all layers.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. It's a good cake you just built there.
I know. Oh, that's so funny that you mentioned cake, because I'm actually thinking about doing for our next program we're going to be doing a test kitchen theme, and I was
Oh,
like, oh, I could
cool.
relate it to cake, like layers.
I love it. That's great. Yeah. I just bought Marie Forleo's Copy Cure. It's like
Yep.
a persuasive copywriting program, digital program.
Nice.
And just seeing how she did her branding within the modules was worth the investment. It
Oh, I
like
bet.
got me so fired up. So
That's so cool.
Copy Cure, she used the whole medicinal theme on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's pictures of her and her business partner there, dressed in the whites, and they've got prescription pads, and it's all the words that relate. It's just really well done. I love it.
That's cool. That's like my favorite thing is theming things. Like we have the branding game, which is like an expedition theme, and then we have blog marketology, which is like a science class almost, and then we have the laboratory. So we have like the laboratory. What else do we have? Oh, brand tales is like fairy tale, and now we're gonna have the brand test kitchen.
Right. Yeah, my just seeing how you do it and how she did it got my creative juices flowing, because I
Yeah,
want
it's
to do a
fun.
digital product on, online visibility and relationships, a whole networking piece and the online foundation. And you know me, I love parties, right? I'm all about the party. So the
Yep.
party theme is going to be a big part of my offering, because it's just social media is supposed to be social.
Yeah, it's like a big party.
People don't do networking or social media correctly. They all like
Right.
trying to pitch and sell. And I'm like, I'm going to teach it via parties. I'm
That's
like, got
awesome.
confetti, balloons. It's going to be fun.
And I love that because, like, I was talking about personality. Like, that's so your personality, and you will be able to execute that so much better than I could, because I am not like, I'm not super social. I'm not super like, I don't like going to parties because I get really anxious.
But you're
So it's
great.
like
You're
you're
game.
picking a theme that really suits you and your personality, which means that you'll be able to execute it like and make it so awesome that people will really be attracted to it.
Thank you. Yeah, well, you love games, right? So that's how.
Yeah, I was kind
How
of a nerd in
science
high
nerd,
school.
and yeah, it's
I
awesome.
also have a science background, so that's where a lot of the test kitchen and the laboratory and those kinds of things come from.
Good. Yeah, because people are always so worried about people stealing ideas. It has to be right for you.
Right, right,
Yeah. You can't just take somebody else's copy or somebody else's program and like deliver it, because it's just not going to work. You have
right,
to have your own spin on things. Yeah,
right.
that's good. So I guess I'm sort of a sponsor. I don't know. I'm an advocate for an upcoming event you're having in New York City, the Big Apple, and it's on
You're an
December 1st.
ambassador.
Ambassador, awesome. I'm an ambassador. December 1st, we're going to New York. Tell us
Yeah.
what's going on. You're going to lock us up for a day and get our branding on
Yes.
target, right?
So I'm going to lock everyone into a really hip room from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. and we are going to work on your brand. So the event that I'm hosting is called Brand Your Awesome Live. And what it is basically pinpointing what it is that makes you really awesome. So kind of that uniqueness of your brand. And then what are the pieces that you would put in place, or like what are the steps you would take to start creating a brand around that? So a lot of the steps that I just talked about, actually all of the steps, we'll be covering those much more in depth. I think what we've been on the phone for like 20 minutes, we're going to have like 6 hours of going like really in depth and working on this real time. You'll have a binder and you'll leave with a plan, basically. That is my goal right now. I'm putting together all the material and I want you to really leave with a plan, a blueprint. And we're also going to have, wine and hors d'oeuvres and a little networking event afterwards. So, Jamie, you will love that.
I do.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. And the other cool thing is that everyone that's going to be there are in similar industries. So we're going to have a ton of coaches, because that's my main audience. We'll have service professionals, entrepreneurs, like all these different types of businesses that really complement each other. So it's going to be a really good place to find partners and collaborators and friends that can kind of, bounce ideas off of and that kind of thing, because they're experiencing a lot of the same things. And they're also going to be probably similar places in business. So it's going to be a really fun event. The tickets are only $97. It's a real steal. And and it's at the, I always get this wrong, the Center for Social Innovation in New York, which is this really like hip co-working space. We have 3 rooms and it's just going to be, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.
It's awesome. I better get my e-course idea hammered out a little more so I can work on that specifically.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be cool.
How do we find it? Can you type the link into the chat? Because when the replay.
Maybe. Where's the chat? I've never used Blab before. Is it on the right here under messages?
People there where it says subscribed on the right column. You says send a message.
It says all messages and mentions.
Oh, so all messages, and then the bottom. We go all the way to the bottom.
Oh, here it is. Send a message. All right.
Yeah.
So it's www.brandyourawesomelive.com.
There's the replay, which I will share on social media. Also shows the chat. You don't lose that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and then I'll also upload it to YouTube, which won't have the link, but I'll type it into the description box. So, yeah. So Laura,
yeah, and if you do sign up, let us make sure that we know that it's from, you came from Blab, so that we can, give you an extra shout out at the event.
Awesome. All right, let's see. Laura's on here still. Laura, do you want to come on camera and ask if you have another question about positioning?
Any questions about positioning?
Yeah. Laura is a new author. She's not a new coach, but she's a new author. Her book is called The Center of Me, and she helps people get rid of the inner critic and replace it with a self-coach. So how you doing, Laura?
I am well. I'm glad I have a nice shirt on today.
You look so calm considering you're in mid-launch mode.
Oh, I know. It's interesting. I've done a live free webinar and have been doing this series in terms of just supporting it and getting the message out and my book is about being a critic or being a coach to yourself? And how do you shift that inner voice from being really critical and sabotaging to supportive? And my webinar met the statistics in terms of how many people register versus the percent that actually show up, and then versus the percent that actually buy. And someone had suggested to me, because I'm on this other site where we're sharing some information, someone had suggested, you've got all of the information correct and you're doing it properly. So it's probably your positioning. And so then when I saw that this collab was happening today, I thought, okay, how can I better support myself in terms of the way in which I present myself to my world, and how can I tweak my positioning so that it resonates with others, right? You talked about that earlier. It depends on the words that you use. Some words, some people won't resonate with, or they'll say, oh no, that's not for me. But if I said it this way, then it would be for them.
Right.
So how do you shift that? Or will you be discussing that on the 1st of December too?
We'll definitely be talking about that on the 1st. So what's really interesting and so funny, because I just was reviewing some information for a colleague that she was thinking about shifting her brand, and she's like, I'm attracting a lot of these people, and they have this certain expectation. And I looked at her site and I highlighted all these things, and I was like, you're saying that right here, like everything you're saying here is creating that expectation. And that's what you shift. So if you look at your copy from the fresh perspective of, if I didn't know who this person was, what would I think they're saying? You might notice that it's not really what you intend. Or maybe it's something that, you wrote it a little while ago, but your message has shifted and you just haven't updated that copy. So what you want to do is when you're making that leap from kind of where you are now to where you want to be as far as your branding and your positioning, is you want to get in the mindset of the person you want to attract. So even if it's not what you're doing now or who you've worked with in the past, or what you've been saying this whole time, start saying the new you, like the new positioning. So for me, we actually just rebranded at the beginning of this year, because we were attracting a lot of website design clients. People were just coming to us for website design. And we love website design. We do website design, but I love branding. So I realized that if you looked at our site, it was very website design centric. We didn't really have a lot of information about what branding was and why people needed it and what it was really going to do for their business. I mean, we were saying, having a professional website is going to make you look like a more professional coach, be able to charge higher prices and that kind of thing. But that was still saying, you need a new website. So we actually overhauled our entire website, and we almost barely talk about website design now. There's maybe one page that actually talks about it. All the other services are all about positioning, personality, packaging your knowledge in a way that's unique. So we had to almost get out of our comfort zone of what we're used to talking about and really shift into a new conversation. So during the event, what we'd be talking about is helping you understand what that new conversation would be, and then what steps you would take to kind of shift into that.
Can you do it sooner than December 1st?
Well, Laura,
you and I could do it on the phone, yes.
Laura, you can have Holly would be the expert, but if you want to, you can have, your ideal client look at your website with fresh eyes and tell you what they see.
Right.
So a 10-year-old can do this even, because one of our members at Network Now has a
10-year-old for hire
website. My daughter is 10. She happened to walk into my office and I was reviewing the new site, potential new site for this member. And my daughter said, "Oh, is that an art studio?" It was not an art studio. So, I'm like, I can totally see how you think it's an art studio, because it was just pretty and it said studio and
right.
Yeah. So you got to get perspective of other people. So I would be happy to look at it also with you.
All right, that would be great because as you're talking, Holly, and what you're saying makes so much sense. And I'm thinking my website has evolved and it's been done piecemeal based on what I'm doing now, right? So there probably is not something that really is an umbrella theme, the branding theme, and underneath it, these are all of the tactics or support materials for what the brand is.
Oh, you could not have said that better. That's exactly what you're going for, is that common thread, that umbrella brand, and then everything else falls under it.
Right, right. And so it will look choppy.
Right. The first time I saw your website, it was all about the book. It wasn't about you and what you provide your clients.
Right.
Your book is just
When
a
you're doing a
foundation.
launch, that's not necessarily a terrible thing, but usually you'll put that, like, it won't be your main site. That'll be on a landing page that you're just driving people to while you're launching, and then they can check out your book, check you out, in conjunction with that, but it's still separate.
Okay. Well, that's what I'll work on. And Jamie, yeah, I'll take you up on having you and your 10-year-old daughter look at it.
Yeah, it's sometimes you just, you don't want to plan and, Laura, somebody wants to know what your website is, so I'll type it in for you.
Okay.
Maybe he'll help you out. That's so nice.
Maybe.
So why did you choose .org, by the way?
Because .com and .net were taken.
.org is typically a nonprofit, but it is what it is. Okay, so I just want to say that you don't want to think about things forever and plan, and never execute.
Right.
The best way, I'm more of a jump off the cliff and then find the parachute kind of girl. So I'm a little to the extreme because that's how I push myself and learn and meet my deadlines. I'm just saying, yeah, okay, I'll do it, and then I'll figure it out.
Right.
So, for instance, I saw Chris Brogan was on Blab, and he was opening seats up. You can find, it's like one of the top pages out on the internet right now. Unfortunately, when you go to All Top and you see the things that are trending, his blog, 5 of his pages are trending, and one of them is this video replay where I'll make a complete ass out of myself.
Is this when you went on with no makeup?
Yeah.
You just said, I'm doing it. It's open. I'm doing it.
Right. So number one, I connect face to face with Chris Brogan, remind him who I am, because I have met him, but I haven't seen him again since February. But the best thing I got out of it was that his whole thing was, what do you sell? And he wants to see, it's like an experiment to see if people could explain what they sell. But the way he asks you is based on how you position yourself on Twitter. So he looks on Blab or Twitter at your profile, and then he asks me questions. And mine at the time were 3 little phrases. The middle one, which is the most prominent, said online branding. Well, sure, I help people make sure that's more what Holly does, is branding. So he's asking me, firing away all these questions about online branding and why is it, so I'm like, instead of saying, that's not what I do, really, I'm trying to answer the question. So it's like, as soon as I hung up with him, I realized my bio is wrong. I need it to be more descriptive, but it pushes you. You just have to fall on your face so you can move forward sometimes.
Right.
I've had those conversations before with people, and you start asking questions, you're like, yeah, I guess that really is not what I do. Right.
Yeah, words are amazing. It's like,
and I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone in terms of doing this webinar, because it was an intense study period of not just putting together the presentation, but then learning all of the tech behind it, and lead pages and opt-in, all of that kind of stuff. So it was a huge learning curve.
You should be proud. That's awesome.
And I have my second one tonight, and I've got quite a few registered for tonight. So that's exciting. But then knowing that 50% will actually show up, and then another smaller percentage of those folks will actually buy. It's just this big numbers game.
True. Aren't they on your mailing list now?
Yes. So those folks are also on my mailing list, and a lot of them that showed up last night were not people that I knew. They were not people that had attended previous workshops or that I've done any kind of coaching with. So that was nice because it stretched my email list out a bit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So even let's talk about that a little bit, Holly. Like, the things that you give away, your bonuses, your free offers, they have to be tied to your brand and your services too. So how do you, when you come up with your offers, what do you think about mostly?
Yeah, so I have a few different offers, and they all have different purposes. So on my homepage, there is a video about it's it's basically like my core promise or what I want to create for my clients, which is to have a brand that will attract the most amazing clients that will buy anything you offer and bring their friends. So building brand loyalty, attracting better clients, and to be awesome enough that people are talking about you is basically like that in a nutshell. So that the homepage offer is typically either one step that is going to move them to solving the number one problem that they're coming to you for, or it's on the other hand, it's more of a top-level overview of what they would need to do in order to solve that problem. Does that make sense? So either it's like a really small laser-focused piece, or it's a more bigger picture informational. So if you look at our video, it's really explaining our philosophies, our methodologies, like all those things I was talking about in positioning. It's educating them on how we do what we do and why we do it that way. Another offer I have, which is also on the homepage, but it pops up as you scroll down, is to attract people that are thinking about rebranding, because that's like a big part of our market is people that are a little more established in business. They've outgrown their brand. They're kind of where you are, Laura, where it's like you realize that everything you have isn't quite where you want to be. It's more reflecting where you were. So we have a brand power assessment, so they can actually assess where they're weak, what they need to work on, and then that invites them to a call. And then my third offer is something that I only offer after webinars. And what that does is the webinars, again, are educating, talking about the methodology, why we do things the way we do, giving you information on how to brand yourself. And then the free gift that I offer at the end of that is like the first module of one of our courses. And so that's why I only offer it to people that are kind of like pre-qualified, like they've had to watch the whole webinar and they have to really like what we're talking about in order to actually sign up for it. And those people typically turn into clients because they take that first module and they realize how valuable it is and how they really get to experience how our process works, and then they end up calling us. So there's like different purposes for different types of offerings you have. So you have to that's why everything's like all about the strategy behind it, but they're all under the same brand message.
Right.
Yeah, what you give away these days is more valuable than what you had to give away 5 years ago.
Yeah, no more top 10 tip sheets. No one really cares about that anymore.
I think I still have one on my website. I got to get rid of that.
I think from what I've learned, especially in this webinar process, that when you give something away for free that's really valuable and it's meaty and people can implement something, there's a thought process or a mindset that if you're giving that away for free, how fabulous the work that you do must be when you pay for it.
Right.
And
yeah, that's why I'm like, give as much as you can. Like, don't worry about holding back like all the good stuff, because.
Right. And it shows a confidence in what it is that you can do that's above and beyond the free stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're having another blab at 1:00. Well, I am anyway. We're talking about customer satisfaction and retention, so that's going to be a yummy one.
I wish I could attend that one.
Oh, well, you can watch the replay.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to join that blab or any others that I'm having, just go. You can follow me on Blab and you'll get an alert. Or let's see, here's my calendar. My online calendar is in the comment box, and all the blabs are listed there. We have the one this afternoon is with members of Network Now, but I have blabs scheduled with Michael Port, Brandon Schaefer, Natalie McNeil, all kinds of awesome people. So any final words on branding, Holly, besides get your butts to New York on December 1st?
No, that's really it. Get your butts to New York.
Jamie, are you going?
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. I will sign up as well.
Cool.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. And yeah, if I was gonna give you one piece of advice to kind of take away and start implementing today, it would be to start putting more personality into your business. Like start thinking about like being intentional about just really being yourself. Stop self-editing. Stop, trying to be this super professional, perfect robot, and really, be yourself. Share your viewpoint. Share, your cranky personality, because the right people are going to like it.
Yeah. 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 Look at the people that you're really attracted to out in the business world and see how authentic they're being, right? So
Right.
Gary Vee, he's got a huge brand, right? This one woman I follow, I know her first name is Bushra. She's from Saudi Arabia. She's actually
Yeah, I'm familiar with her. She's awesome.
persuasive writing. She is so funny. She did a webinar yesterday or 2 days ago. So she's talking about how here she is on a plane for the 8th time to see the same client to pitch the same thing. She just can't get the yes. And she opens up the food she brought and it was rotten. It's a rotten burrito. And she's like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? I'm like, whoa. So you have this Persian woman that's like this beautiful woman and she's like dropping the F-bombs. I'm like, oh my God, just gotta laugh. So people that are offended by that are not her clients.
Right.
But she has this huge following of people that just find her humor so funny. It's like,
right. Exactly.
So you don't have to curse you need to just be authentic to you. Cursing does not need to be part of your brand. It works for her because that's the type of
Yeah, whenever I do something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Like, that was the stupidest thing. Like, those are the things I get the email where I'm so glad you said that. That's so me.
See? Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about not showing up as perfect because you're not identifiable. People want to know that you have the flaws or you have the same kind of concerns or worries that maybe they have,
Right.
or the same struggles, and then you can identify. And it probably helps to build your client base.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, this is fun. Thank you so much. And I'm going to.
Yeah, thank you. This was fun. This is my first blab. So,
congrats.
Well, thanks, Holly. I'll see you on December 1st.
All right. Looking forward to seeing you.